I'm Robert Cavuoto, and today on Sonic Perspectives, I'm pleased to speak with Steve Brown of Trixter fame. He also co-produced, co-wrote the new Ace Frehley album, 10,000 Volts, that came out this February. Steve, welcome. Congrats.
Oh man, Rob, it is great to be here, and I'm glad we finally got to do this one-on-one because last time we were on camera together, it's when I kind of jumped in Ace's interview
Yes.
a couple months ago, and that was fun
And
because
we've
you
been
and
trying to get together, but you've been touring so much, it's a little bit tough to get you in with your busy schedule.
it is, man, but you know what? Better late than never. And again, you and I have been friends for such a long time. You knew me when I
Yeah.
was a little kid, so to be here, and both of us, the
We
fact that
were
we're
both
still
little
here.
kids.
Yeah, the fact that we're still here doing this, man, is incredible, and it's just a testament to the love of rock and roll because
True,
that's where our friendship started.
true. And we still have our hair.
That's right. There you go.
That's half the battle right there.
That's right. No animals were harmed in making this hair either.
Same here. Well, you and Ace must be really pleased about the chart success that you're getting from 10,000 volts. I've been watching your Twitter feed and Ace's and Facebook, and it's really garnered a lot of success. Is Ace really happy?
He's over the moon, but no pun intended. I mean, look, this is the goal we set out to do is to make the best possible record. But the response around the world,
Yeah.
overwhelming. 9 out of 10 reviews, the fans, everybody is so excited and so happy for Ace, and that was my goal with the record. Ace is my hero. He's one of my childhood idols, my guitar inspiration, him and Ed Van Halen. I've said that numerous times.
Right.
When I was an 8-year-old kid in Paramus, New Jersey, I had a Van Halen poster on my wall, 16 magazine, and that famous Ace poster, with the smoking guitar that I think probably you had and a
Me too.
million other kids. But it's just an incredible feeling, and to see the response and the charts and the
Yeah.
streams. This is his most successful record that he's had in 30 plus years, and there was a lot of work in making it. And I got to give a huge shout out to Ace at his age. We started this record when he was, I think, 71 and
Mhm.
72, and the guy, I worked him hard, and we worked each other, and it was that goal of making the best record that we could possibly make together.
Right. Now, putting on your producer hat, I have a question about that. Understanding, that you co-produced. I got my autographed copy here.
Yes. Wow, yeah, that's cool. I don't even have one of those. That's awesome.
You gotta get one, dude.
I know.
Talk to Ace. I
See, hey, we know a guy, right?
know a guy. I could get it
Gotcha.
for you. I was recently thinking of this interview, and I was recently watching a new interview with Joe Elliott from Def Leppard, and he said that when they were going to be making Pyromania, Mutt Lang approached him and says, "Do you want to make High and Dry 2, or do you want to make the best album in the world?" And of course, it was obvious what occurred. Did you tell Ace something like that? Let's make this the best Ace Frehley album that could possibly be made.
Well, Ace actually was the one to say that after we did our first session, which was Walking on the Moon. That was the song that started it off.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that now. When he got done, we both knew there was something very special, the chemistry between us. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, 95%, and I don't want to get into percentages again, but most of what you hear on the finished mix of Walking on the Moon is what we did that first day. Ace's vocals, he comped four vocals together, did four vocal takes. I
Mhm.
would be, sitting where I am right now, but at his studio, and he'd be 5 feet behind me singing into his mic. And just, another thing, so people know, Ace has incredible pitch. When he can hear himself, he has great pitch and great timing. So we gotta, the whole auto tune thing is I don't use auto tune, but the reality is with the mix of 3 to 4 vocals mixed together, like he used to do in the old days, double,
Yeah,
triple
yeah.
tracking, along with all of my harmonies, a la the Def Leppard style Mutt Lang vocals. It's a pretty, it's a pretty sweet sound that Ace really has never had on his record. So when we got done that first day, when we were finishing up, Ace said to me, he said, I really love this, and I want every song to be like this. I want every song to be great. And it was him, he said that. And he said, he goes, I know my records over the last couple of years haven't been as good as maybe they should be. And that's no slag on
No,
anybody. It just is what it is. But I took him and I gave him a hug and I said, dude, I love you. I've known you for a long time. If we do this together, I promise you, we will make the best record probably since your 1978 solo record. And I think that's what we achieved.
and I think Ace too. There's never a time to improve yourself. There's never a time to better yourself. So, you think about it that the trajectory is always trying to get better. You never want to go in the crapper. You always want to do better. So this album
Yeah.
just keeps building upon the success of what he's had, and that's what makes this album really good.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's all it. And the one thing that he did say, he said, I want every song to be great. And we followed up with that to where we know every song can't be a hit single. And so what we set out to do was to make every song consistent production, the performance, the lyrics, the melodies, and everything.
Yeah,
And
strong
just,
melodies.
and the most important thing that people need to know is wholeheartedly and without beyond the shadow of a doubt, Ace was the reason that we were able to do this. I've never seen a guy work harder and care so much. He was driven.
Right.
He wanted to prove all the naysayers wrong and all the people who said Ace can't do this. He's washed up, and so he worked so hard and I worked him hard because I felt it was my duty to give him that and help him with that.
Well,
And
I was going to ask you that because here he is, your idol. He's sitting there right next to you. He's like, you admire the guy. How do you go about saying him to, which ideas are great and which ideas are just okay? So how do you go about telling your idol that question? Asking him that.
Well, look, man, I've been around rock royalty most of my career. Whether you start out, back in the day with the Bon Jovi guys and Def Leppard, Metallica, Kiss, and everybody else, and most of all, when I became friends with Ed and Alex Van Halen, who I still talk to Alex all the time, but that's neither here nor there. I'm not intimidated by anybody, and especially when it comes to music. I go, this is our job. This is what we do. There's no time for, believe me, man. And I told you this privately. There were many of those pinch me moments.
Yeah.
When it comes to making music, I treat everybody the same. And that's always the way I've looked at everybody. I always say when Ed Van Halen met me for the first time and we met each other, he treated me like we were teammates because we were.
Equals.
At the time when I met him, I was #1 on MTV. He knew who I was, and it was kind of a cool thing. And, he treated me sort of like an equal. I remember, he said, oh man, how old are you? And I go, I'm going to be 20. I'm 21. And he goes, hey man, you beat me to the punch. I was 23 when our first record came out. So getting back to what you were saying with Ace, it was all about, this is our job. And we got through all that, and again, I've known Ace for so long that there was never that. And Ace is such a nice guy to begin with. He always makes you feel so comfortable. There's never any weirdness. He's very much, like I've said, Gene and Ace to me, and Peter for that matter, are the most genuine out of all the Kiss members in a sense of, this is what you get. And Ace has been extremely consistent over the 3 decades that I've known him. So it was very easy.
Yeah.
And, Ace wanted me to be that guy and wanted to push him. And and he's talked about it, there were moments where we would disagree. And that's what you do when you are writing partners, because let's get down to it. Nowhere, in no way, shape, or form did I ever say that I wrote X amount percentage of this record. Ace and I co-wrote every song together, though I brought in a lot of ideas. And yes, he was working with other people. He was working with his childhood friend, Pepe Castro, who's super talented. At the end of the day, my ideas made the cut, and they were the ones that Ace decided to work on. And him and I co-wrote 9 out of the 11 songs that are on the record. You know, Back Into My Arms Again was him and Arthur
Right,
Stead. That was a leftover from back in the day that thank God we recorded that. And the cover song Life of a Stranger, which was all Ace's idea. You
right.
know, that was him coming to me and said, I love this song. And I was like, this is fantastic. We can make something great out of this. So, you know, again, this has been an incredible partnership. And Ace's role in this, he had 100% say over every aspect of what we were doing from day one of songwriting to what guitar licks, what guitar parts were used, what vocal melodies that
Mhm.
we were going to use that were mine, that he wound up changing stuff because we had to rewrite stuff to fit his voice.
Yeah,
You know, and he was great at that and very creative. And again, at 50 years of making records and at 72 years old, you got to give the guy so much credit for doing this.
right.
And you know, again, I just can't say enough great things about how hard he worked. And, you know, the both of us, it was a fabulous team. And this is only the beginning.
That's great. You know, I think what is really reminiscent of the 78 album are the solos too. You know, it's a very bright sounding album, you know,
Yeah.
almost like you maybe had acoustic guitar behind it, but I can't tell. But it was a very bright sounding album, and his solos are so signature Ace. And that's what I fell in love with it. You know, of course, the melody, everybody loves melody, but I really liked hearing Ace doing what he does best. Even the last song, Stratosphere, you know, going off and doing that. So his guitar parts were pretty much great and signature sounding.
Well, that was another, you know, a key element for me is to be able to sit with him. And again, man, pinch me moment. I'm
Yeah.
sitting, you know, we did the guitar solo for 10,000 volts here, and I'm sitting here with my guitar. This is the way we would do it most of the time. Ace would be here with his guitar, and I would be here, and we'd be playing together. And what I would always do with Ace is say, you know, we'd start from the beginning. I just go play because, you know, Ace, look, it's no secret sometimes, and he says it, he's very sloppy, but it's a matter of capturing that moment where has that flurry of brilliance
Yeah.
where he gets it and you go, there it is. Oh my God, he's doing it. And while we were doing solos, I would yell at him. I go, hey man, do the shock me thing. Do the 100,000 years. You know, it's the
Yeah.
little, you know, the huge Kiss fan in me, you know, doing that. But that's how we did it. And you know, my goal, and I said to him, you know, I noticed over the last couple records, the solos didn't have that cool structure, those
Right.
thematic parts that he was so known for in his famous Kiss solos. So that was something we both worked very hard on.
Right.
And we listened back and we would make sure that these are quintessential Ace Frehley solos that everybody's going to go, that's Ace.
Yeah.
You know,
I
and
get the sense that Ace is very spontaneous, spur of the moment. So, you know, he doesn't work these out like a lot of sometimes artists work
yes.
these things out. Um, how do you get him to do it a second time? Or do you have to get him to do it a second time? Or you just let him go off the rails and then you cut the piece you want out?
Yeah, I mean, you know, look, I realized how there's a method to doing this that's going to work
Yeah.
best for both of us. So I would let Ace play, you know, and then I would listen and I would make notes or write something down where I heard, all right, I got that lick. And then while the song is going, I would say, Ace, just hit a note, bend up, you know, bend up that E flat and hold that. So I knew I had maybe a beginning of the solo or the end. Those were some where I had to comp it together. And then, you know, like 10,000 volts from what I remember is I pieced it together and then we listened to it and then he just wound up playing it after we had it together
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we sort of had a roadmap. You know, I mean, that's the
Yeah.
way we do, whether it's lyrics or whether it's the vocal parts or the guitar solos, that's kind of what we did. Um, but it was again, it was one of those things of just being able to capture the moment. Um, and Ace is he knows what's right for right for the song. Life of a Stranger was one he immediately when we started that intro guitar solo, that was pretty much one or two takes. He knew exactly what to play. And I remember going to him in the beginning, oh man, try something melodic. And he's like, he looked at me, he gave me that Ace luck. He goes, Steve, I know what I'm doing. And he just played that, that first bend, and it was like, man, he got it.
Yeah.
And that was a huge thing. And then, one of the other cool things which people know about now was the Walking on the Moon solo and the Fighting for Life solo that I played on the record,
Mhm.
which was kind of, a little bit of controversy. And look, let's go back all the years. It's no secret Kiss, Ace Solo, Frehley's Comet, all of his records, he's used a team of people who play on his records, who sing, who, it's never been a one-man show. So let's all forget that. But with this, when I worked up some of these ideas for him, I was playing these guitar solos, and like I told him that first day, I said, he's like, Steve, this is a great solo. And I said, well, it's me being you.
Yeah.
And again, with the songs, every song idea that I created and brought into Ace was being a huge Ace fan and being the biggest Kiss fan
Right.
in my eyes. So in my ears and my head. So what I said is, what do I want to hear as a fan? And I think what I want to hear, and I guess it's the truth now, because 9 out of 10 Kiss fans agree that this record kind of checks all those boxes that
True.
maybe we've
True.
been missing for all these years. And
Well, it's really true because so many, I think it's one of the smartest ideas. So many artists I speak with and read about other artists like the Scorpions, their 2010 album, which one of my favorites, the
yeah,
Stones, Ozzy are hiring producers who are huge fans of the band, and
yeah,
they could take them back or forward or modernize their sound to perfection, to what they should sound like today in the modern era, and
yeah.
recreate their signature sound, but modernized. So what are you telling Ace during the day? It's like, Ace, I know everything in and inside and out about Kiss. Let's see what we could do to make this sound like the best Ace/Kiss solo album.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was song after song. Again, like I
Yeah.
said, Walking on the Moon was the first thing. We made a rough mix of it and sent it to his record label, Monarch Heavy, who have been incredible. I have never seen support for for an artist
Yeah.
or a band like that label. Scott Givens, who's the president, we sent him my rough mix of Walking on the Moon, and he was like, "This is incredible." More than we did Fighting for Life. And it was like, whoa. And as we know now, Fighting for Life has become the ultimate undisputed fan favorite of the record. And what's interesting about it, again, Ace wasn't so sold on it. And in the beginning, that was the second song we worked on. And I was like, dude, I told him from the beginning, I said, Ace, this is going to be the song. I'm telling you, this is
Yeah.
going to be the fan favorite. And he was like, I'm not sure. And I found out what it was because my original work track of it was Drum Machine. And someday I'm going to play it for everybody because it sounds like Def Leppard.
Yeah.
I used the Def Leppard drum samples, and it's real, it was real AC/DC, if I remember correct. It was, instead of, it was boom, cha, doom, cha, doom. It sounded like
Yeah.
AC, it sounded like Shoot to Thrill, like AC/DC vibe. But he didn't like the drum machine thing. So I had Joey Casada come up and do his first round, the drum parts on it. And that eased Ace. Once he heard real drums on it,
He
he
can relate.
liked it more and more. But again, I made a mix of that, sent it to the record company, and they were like, I don't know. They said, We don't know what you're doing, but whatever it is, this is awesome and keep it up."
That's great.
And that's what we did, and we just, and more importantly, the coolest thing, Rob, was how much fun we had. You know, being that we both have home studios, whether it was here at my place where Ace would come and we'd hang, we'd have coffee. Sometimes I'd make him lunch, cook him grilled chicken, and we'd eat. And he's hanging. He's told the stories with my family. My wife would cook him dinner. He'd be down here doing magic tricks for the kids, for
Right,
my
right.
daughters, and even when Joey was here doing drum tracks.
Yeah.
And again, he's such an endearing and just a great guy. And he was, he's become Uncle Ace now. He's part of the family. But we had so much fun making the record, going to his house, his fiance Lara, who's a Jersey girl that me and PJ grew up with. She saw Trickster back before we were anything, playing the China Club and
Yeah,
Studio.
that's right.
So the history here and how this all happened, look, I say it all the time. Fate is a real thing, to where 30 years ago, if Ace and I worked together, I don't think we would have gotten the same results as we did now. It was this moment in time and this
Sure.
group of people that brought us together, and that we together with, and again, I got to thank Ace for allowing me to use my team of players along with Anton Fig, and Matt Starr played drums, but bringing in PJ to play PJ Farley to play bass on a couple songs, Joey Casada, Chris Lester, who also played bass, and our guy David Julian, who co-wrote two of the songs. Getting back to the songwriting credits, people read the record credits. If you have any question of who wrote what and who played what, it's all in there. It's all there. David
Sure.
Julian's a kid who came in and co-wrote a lot of the music. There you go. And Bruno Ravel, of course, for
Yeah,
making it sound so fantastic. One of the
sure.
best rock mixers in the world, as far as I'm concerned. So, again, David Julian, who co-wrote Cosmic Heart and 10,000 volts with us. Ace was the one who allowed me to bring my team in. And that was important to me because, like Mutt Lang, like Bob Rock or whatever, people have teams, and it's these teams that create these winning combinations.
Right.
It's very much like sports,
I have to wonder too. A lot of interviews I've listened to, Ace talks about walking on the moon. And, obviously being the first song, I've heard you talk about it. How come they didn't name the album Walking on the Moon? What was it about 10,000 volts that he wanted that to represent the album?
Well, I mean, look, Walking on the Moon was the original title. The first time we talked on the phone about making the record was when I sent him a bunch of ideas. Walking on the Moon was the one he listened to first, and he was like, "This is great. This is what I want." We're on the phone, and he goes, "Walking on the Moon is the title of the record. It's the
Oh, wow.
title track. You got to change this and change that, And with that song, what was really cool is after that first day, Ace woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. He was on a creative high, and he wrote the bridge, and he recorded the bridge guitar parts and the vocals all by himself. And I had the job of having to cut that all in and make it seamless. But that just goes to show you, man, that his passion for it, that he woke up and he had this brilliant idea, and he also re-sang and came up with these other lines, and you got my heart consumed, guys singing real stuff, and he belted it out and did it all on his own. So, I
Yeah.
mean, so cool. But long story short, the Walking on the Moon thing, I think once we got done with 10,000 volts and Cherry Medicine, that's when we knew we had something extra special.
Right.
This wasn't just a good Ace record, this was a great Ace record. And
Right.
we sent 10,000 volts and Cherry Medicine to the record label, and they were like, "Dudes, you guys have something brilliant here." And Ace and I think it was Ace, we got some rough sketches for the artwork of Walking on the Moon, and it was him, dragging a Les Paul. He's talked about it, dragging a Les Paul in a space suit, kind of like what the fun Walking on the Moon videos like.
Right. Right.
But something happened to where he just went to me one day. He goes, "What do you think if we call the record 10,000 volts?" And I was like, "Dude, I think that's a great idea because you played the space thing and the moon thing with the album. What is there? Anomaly, Space Invader,
Yeah.
Frehley's Comet, all
Spaceman.
yeah, Spaceman, all that stuff. You've done that so much." And 10,000 volts was, the resounding sort of record uniting track that we thought, it's the brand new Shock Me, as we like to call it,
Right. Sure.
and that was it, the energy of it. 10,000 volts, that's what this record encompasses. It's positive energy. So
That's,
10,000 volts
I agree.
was the perfect choice.
It's a great choice. When I interviewed Ace a couple of months ago, he told me he had multiple hard drives filled with ideas and riffs and songs.
Yeah.
Hoping you're going to be working with him again on the second or the next album, I should say.
Yeah.
Are you going to be listening to some of those hard drives? Because that's got to be exciting if he gives you access to these old riffs, maybe from the 70s, 80s, and so on and so forth, that you could try and find, ideas for him.
I mean, that's certainly in the cards. I mean,
Yeah.
right now, we're just enjoying the success of the record. We are starting to work on, there's going to be, I think, I don't quote me on it, but I think there's going to be like a deluxe edition of 10,000 volts that's going to be coming out in a couple months that we're going to put on. We have different versions of Fighting for Life. We have three different, because Joey Casada was the original drummer on the original track, and Ace was like, something's not right. We got to give it to Anton. And so I gave it to Anton, and Anton goes, Steve, what should I do? And I basically, the only thing I told Anton is rip it out part two. If you listen to the drums, it's
Yeah.
very much got the rip it out thing, and that was what I heard. Joey's drum tracks were a lot more straightforward, a lot more AC/DC, kind of Tico Torres, had the Bon Jovi real
Right.
straight, like that, which is awesome. So we have that, and we also have a version of Fighting for Life that I totally forgot about, that our buddy Kent Slusher, Luke Bryan's drummer, who's also in quarantine with PJ and Chris Jericho, he did a pass of it, which is kind of a combination of both. So we have all these different versions of Fighting for Life. So we have other stuff, some of the unreleased songs that, Ace worked on. He has a song called She's a Witch that I think we're going to try to finish. But,
That's cool.
and then there's the other one, which one of Ace's favorite songs on the record, which is Constantly Cute,
Yeah.
which is a song that, his girlfriend Lara came to him and said, they were out one night, and she said to him, Ace, you're constantly cute. And Ace was like, that's a great song title. He called me up the next day. He goes, Steve, we got to come up with a song, Constantly Cute. So he gave me some ideas, some chords, and I came up with a song. And when my original idea for it was double time, something like I Want You to Want Me,
Yeah.
Ballroom Blitz. Again, what I tried to do working with Ace was I wanted to bring him things that he's maybe never had on a record before, to give sounds that he's never had, grooves per se. So there's a version of Constantly Cute that's double time. That's like I Want You to Want Me or Ballroom Blitz. You're constantly cute. You look like a dream. It's friggin' awesome. So we have that. So we're trying to put all this together, and figure it out. But it's, again,
That's
getting
awesome.
back to the hard drives, man. I hope Ace lets me do it. One of the things the fans really want, they've been wanting ever since we did Back Into My Arms. I get messages every day. Hey, you gotta do a finished version of this song. A lot of those 80s demos that are on YouTube that Ace never finished or
Yeah.
whatnot. There's a lot of great ideas there. And
Absolutely.
we had another song that him and Peppy wrote, Venus with a Whip or whatever, that Ace was talking about in interviews. We're going to hopefully finish that up and polish it up a little bit, and maybe that'll go on. But,
Great idea.
right now, again, we're still dealing with this, and Ace is really starting to get into his heavy touring, and, he's got a new agencies with BTE, Sullivan Big, and he's doing some huge shows coming up. So we're really
That's great.
excited.
That's great. Yeah. And, talking a little bit about Trickster, you just finished up an acoustic tour out in the UK and even in the US, right? You're
Yeah.
also with Mr. Big touring. And you're going to be starting up a brand new tour in May with Pretty Boy Floyd and Enough is Enough. So how did that all come together?
Well, I mean, look, the Trickster thing, sadly in 2017, the original band imploded, if you will, and two guys went off to on religious retreats, and two guys continued playing music. PJ and I are full-time musicians for life.
Mhm.
It's in our heart and our
Yeah.
soul. The other guys, not so much the case. They're what we call situational musicians. But long story short, there came an opportunity a couple years ago. PJ called me up and said, "Hey, man, Eric Martin, we've been doing gigs with Eric Martin from
Yeah.
Mr. Big for years now. We have this Eric Martin Trickster band that we do a Mr. Big and Trickster show. It's been so much fun. Eric couldn't do a show. He wasn't feeling good or whatnot. I don't know what happened, but PJ called me and said, dude, we got this gig opening for Warrant. Let's just do a Trickster acoustic thing." And I was like, all right, I've never done that, but let's do it. We did that show. It was in Gibson City, Illinois.
Mhm.
And I swear, man, I haven't had that much fun doing a show in a long time because we had, 9 years since we reformed Trickster in 2008 to 2017. We had a phenomenal run. We made two great records, New Audio Machine, Human Era.
Yep.
And, so doing this acoustic thing was something I've never done before. And I've told people, give it to me good. I wrote that song on acoustic guitar, 15 minutes. Heart of Steel, pretty much all the songs I write on acoustic guitar because that's like what I play in the morning when I wake up, and that's when I come up with all my ideas. So,
Right.
you know, to really play these songs in that sort of way, and of course, showcase PJ and I, our real vocals and how we harmonize together.
That's great.
And it's no secret, I don't think, at this point that most people know that all those songs, I sang the Trickster songs before Pete did because I would basically sing the songs, make a demo, and give it to Pete and say, learn this. That's the way it was. And Pete would always improve upon it and add his own thing. But it was, I've been a singer since I was a little kid, when I
Right.
started the band. And so to get out and do the acoustic thing was something to showcase and be able to also do a storytellers to where, we tell the stories behind it.
That's
The
cool.
funny story I tell about Surrender, being the last video ever played on Dial MTV, and it's kind of like I tell people, it's sort of a cracked trophy or it's the golden chalice with holes in the bottom where all the wine's dripping out. Motley
Yeah.
Crue Home Sweet Home was the first #1 video, and Trickster's Surrender was the last video ever played on Dial MTV. So you know what? We'll take the accolade,
Yeah.
kind of with a punch to the face, but hell, man, we've had such a blessed career, 34 years now. We're heading into 34 years of being a national act since 1990. And Rob, July 7th of this year marks the 40th anniversary of the first ever Trickster show
Pretty
that we
cool.
did in Paramus, New Jersey at the band shell, which I
Gotcha.
remember I used that 4x12 cabinet that you and your old bandmate made for me. And,
Probably, yes.
but it's incredible to think, that here we are. And so with that, we just got back from the UK where we did our longest stretch ever. For me, PJ goes overseas a lot more than I do with Fozzy.
Right.
So we did 3 shows. We did 2 Trickster acoustic, and we did this Hard Rock Hell Festival where we did a Trickster trio, but it was full electric. And that's what we're going to be doing on the Enough's Enough Pretty Boy Floyd Band Inc. We have a 4th band, this band out of Massachusetts, Band Inc. Female bass player, singer Juliana, who's phenomenal. So we're looking forward to this because the other cool thing, this is the first Trickster official tour that we've done since
Yeah.
1995.
And you had Pete join you in Arizona. I saw
We
the
did
videos on YouTube.
last
It's
week,
pretty cool.
man. 7 years. The Silver Fox Pistol Pete Loran. He came out, man. It was awesome. We've talked, and let's just get everything straight. There's no bad blood between me and Pete. He's my brother. I love him. Like any family member, we have had our disagreements, but we always come back. And I hadn't seen him in 7 years. And walk in the dressing room, there he is. And within 30 seconds, we revert back to, the 80s when we were kids and the
Right.
same jokes and there was no question. We didn't say, hey, do you want to work on anything? He came out after 7 years. I don't think he's been on stage, and he crushed it. He
Yeah.
sounded great. He looked great. And it was so much fun to have him. And he's, and like for everybody out there, because I know this is gonna make the clickbait conspiracy crew is all about it. The CCC. They
Right,
want
right.
to know. That's my new line for that. The clickbait conspiracy crew. Fake rock news. Fake rock news. Here, right on, Sonic Perspectives. But here it is. Pete is always welcome to come out and play with us. And, you never know what's going to happen, but
Yeah. Maybe you
never
could coax him out of retirement to come and join you for more shows.
Hey man, he's so happy in his life. His kids are doing great. He was telling me about his son is doing great. And that's ultimately what it's all about. You know, being a traveling musician, rock and roller, it's not for everybody.
True,
Dude,
true.
it's easy when you're number one on MTV and you're playing arenas every night. PJ and I, after it all fell apart in the 90s, we looked at each other and it was like, all right, what are we doing now musically? And we started throwing rocks and we started a cover band. And we started this cover band, Sugar Belly, that went on for 10 years and we made a lot of money. And that's how we supported ourselves as musicians. Some
Yes, yes.
people get away from it, whether they want to go work for a car dealer or they want to be Indian chiefs or lawyers or whatever. That's all well and good. Music for me is life. It's
Right.
in my blood, it's in my heart, and every aspect of it, whether it's producing somebody like Ace or producing PJ's new music. I'm working with this phenomenal little kid now, this guy, Kobe Reese,
Mhm.
this kid who's the future of rock and roll.
Wow.
And I love every aspect of it, including, if you can't tell, I love to talk and I love to talk rock and I love to do
I
interviews.
know. It reminds me of our old days back in World Imports, talking all the time. You used to come in every day after school and we would talk rock and roll all the whole afternoon.
It's and that's what it was all about, man. And I
Yeah.
still, what's funny, dude? I still have some of the stuff. I have some of the tour books I bought at World Imports. Come on, Jersey,
Yeah, I did too.
Paramus. You remember World Imports, the
Yeah.
Bergen Mall?
I got this from World Imports too.
Huge, huge part of my life, and and you were a big
Absolutely.
part of that,
Absolutely.
man. And I got the Diary of a Madman tour book,
I do
and I
too.
still look at that stuff. I got it there, and
I got a
that's
lot
how
of the Van Halen tour books there when we were kids too.
I still have all of those, man.
So,
So again, that's what it's all about. The love of rock and roll and the love of making music.
and now you got your own signature model guitar. I can see it right behind you on your right.
Yes, there it is, man. Yep.
That's kind
SPS.
of a big step, like anybody going, oh my God, this is when you made it, right? You go, I got a signature model.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not even a signature model. It's a whole brand and a whole
Mhm.
company based around my visions and being able to give people an incredible, affordable shred guitar. This is the SBS. This is one of the new models. This is the CS model, which is $259, if you can believe it.
That's crazy, right?
It's, basswood body, Canadian roasted maple neck. I mean, Rob, it's a dream come true to be able to
Good for
have
you.
this, to be able to
Congratulations.
yeah, man,
Congratulations.
it's been an incredible ride. My partner Jay Abbott at Guitar Fetish, because they're available online. So that's how we're able to do this and make it affordable. But long story short, I never thought I would be able to have my own signature guitar, let alone my own company, because
Right.
that's what this is. SBS is a brand that we're developed. We have 6 different models of guitars,
Yep.
and it was about someone who believed in me, and that was Jay. And I said, man, don't you want somebody like so and so, somebody who sold 50 million albums? He goes, no, I want you, because you're not the everyday musician. You've had that big success, but you're also doing a ton of different things. An example where I would play a stadium with Def Leppard, and then 5 days later I'd be down at Seaside Heights on the boardwalk playing with my cover band, because I'm a full-time musician.
Versatile.
And and that's what it's all about. And so we've developed these line of guitars that are, the Van Halen style, locking tremolo, ripping my own pickups, which
Right.
are, as far as I'm concerned, the best sounding rock pickups you can buy. And again, another dream come true.
Congratulations. Well,
Thanks,
Steve,
man.
I want to thank you so much for your time today. It was a really insightful interview. I love the album. Everybody go out and get it if you don't have it yet. And I wish you the most success. And I look forward to the next endeavor with Ace.
I
And
can't wait. Well, we're starting to work on Origins 3 duets
I
coming up in the next couple months. So
and
get
I'll
ready, and thank you and thank everybody for the overwhelming success and love for 10,000 volts and Ace Frehley, because you got to
yeah.
give it up. Stop with the negative BS. Ace is a hero and he's a legend. Let's all stay positive.
And I'll see you in Reading, Pennsylvania in May. So for your show.
Wait, brother.
All right, buddy. Have a great
How?
night. Hang on.